Welcome to another episode of Scottish Digest. In this episode, we will be speaking to Kevin and Cathy from the YouTube podcast Just Thought Lounge, who will be talking to us about one of their favourite places in Scotland, Beauly. Okay, so hi, Kevin and Cathy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Dawn. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to be here.
Oh, it's lovely to speak to you again. So, can you tell us a little bit about you and what brought you to the UK?
Sure, Don. Yeah, so we are originally from Canada, and we moved to the UK about 10 years ago so that Cathy could go to do her master's program was essentially what brought us over here. And we ended up just really enjoying it and living in England, and we decided to stay. So one short year turned into 10 years, and we've got no plans to leave. So a little bit about us. We run a YouTube channel called the Just Thought Lounge, which is a true crime channel where we do mini documentaries that are 20 to 40 minutes in length, where we just kind of consolidate and tell a story in a very succinct, distilled down way in a mini documentary format.
You've been very, modest. It's an amazing channel. And Cathy, I don't know who's doing what now, but Cathy was doing all the videos and they were beautiful. Couldn't replicate that. Tried, couldn't do it.
So wow, thanks.
It's very talented.
Yeah, it's been quite a lot. It's been quite a journey with the channel, but we're happy with where we are now.
Okay then, so what we're here for is to talk about your favourite place in Scotland, where you recently visited, and it is?
Today we're talking about Beauly, just outside of Inverness in North Scotland.
Like I said, Kevin is the host of the YouTube podcast Just Thought Lounge, as well as working with Cathy to do everything else behind the scenes, the write, edit and produce the episodes for YouTube. They are both from Canada, but moved to England about 10 years ago. However, they had thought about perhaps moving to Scotland in the future, and so they went on a wee holiday to a few areas in Scotland last year. But before we hear about their trip to Scotland, first, here's a clip from an episode of Kevin and Cathy's podcast, Just Thought Lounge.
In March 2024, Riley Strain was on a pub crawl with friends down Broadway in Nashville, the popular main strip packed with shops, bars, and restaurants. The 22-year-old left his last bar of the night at just past 9:30 p.m. He seemed to vanish only minutes later. Even with cameras retracing his steps through the city, there were gaps in his movements, witnesses coming forward that could not always be trusted. Clues were being uncovered that raised more questions than answers. And amateur sleuths online were both helping and hurting the investigation. Hi there, I'm Kevin, and welcome to Just Thought Lounge. Today's case has recently gone viral across social media. Amongst the mystery of Riley's disappearance is a family desperate for answers, bizarre clues that seem to defy common sense, and a few outlandish theories. Let's take a look.
Why did you end up going? Why did you choose there? Why was that your place you went?
So it was just recently, it was just in August, and we've recently been talking about actually making a house move, and we're looking at different areas still within the UK, and we've always really liked the Highlands in Scotland. We've been there a couple times. So what we wanted to do before settling on any location was just kind of get a feel for the area, right? And kind of get a feel for up north towards Inverness. So we took a trip, started in Glasgow and took the train up past Pitlochry, past Avamore, took a little left at Inverness, and we ended up in Beauly. We picked a couple spots along the way, Pitlochry, Avamore, just to kind of get a feel for the area. We had never heard of Beauly before. We didn't know anything about it, but as we were looking at the area, we did have one sort of connection there, which we thought was interesting, which I'm sure a lot of people say. But Cathy's family name is MacRae, and the MacRaes do have a link to that area. So we thought, if we're going to be up there anyways, kind of scoping things out, why don't we make Beauly a pit stop and kind of see what it's all about? Do you have any Beauly facts?
A fun fact. The Beauly Priory was a location mentioned in the Outlander book series written by Diana Gabaldon. But I don't watch that series, do you?
Cathy
Do you?
Cathy loves
There
it.
you go. Beauly Priory.
Yeah, I was right. I had no idea there was a Beauly connection, but I did in fact read pretty much all of those books before the series started. So I have been watching it. Yeah, it's very cheesy. I mean, I'm not going to recommend it, but yes, I can watch it.
Yeah, very nice. And you actually sent me some photos before we recorded, and it's off the gravestone, MacRae gravestone. So what is the connection then? Who's James MacRae?
Well, James MacRae is actually my father's name. So I, Google told me that the Beauly was the traditional home of the MacRae clan. So we thought, well, we're already heading up in this direction. This is a good area for us to, just have a look around. And I was probably at the train for, 10 minutes before we ran into an old resident that had my father's name, which I just thought was, whatever it is, whatever you take from that. But yeah, I mean, the idea was to be able to view the area not so much as a tourist. They sort of get an idea of what the area would be like, for locals and to live in. Of course, though, interestingly enough, you show up and, with all of your luggage. And the first thing you do is every touristy thing that you can because you want to get an idea of what the area is and what's interesting and what it has to offer. So essentially what we did.
So what did you do? Tell us some of the things that you did when you were there.
Yeah, so I guess arriving at Beauly, worth noting is the train station, the Beauly train station, is the smallest platform we've ever seen. It was probably about 10 yards long. It was large enough to kind of fit one carriage on the train.
You had to get off on the right one.
Yeah, basically 2 doors opened on the train. So that was that sort of told us what we were stepping into was not maybe a commuter hotspot or really a happening place. But we just found that really interesting, that the planning of the Beauly train station was clearly they also weren't expecting it to grow over time, right? They just kind of built it for that one carriage to stop, which was interesting. So
were you on the right carriage then, or did you have to make a mad dash?
They made sure that they huddled everyone forward to the right doors.
To be fair, Don, it was not a large train either.
That's fair. Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't a lot. Yeah, there weren't many of us heading that way.
50-50 chance to get the right door, I think. So
this is great. And the picture in my head is like this little dinky train, this little dinky station.
We'll send you over. We got a picture of the train station too. I'll send that to you after, and you can have a look at it. It's pretty cute.
Yeah,
that'll be cool. So whereabouts did you stay when you were there then?
So we stayed right downtown on the high street. So right in Beauly, there's a nice little square that basically has everything happening, and then there's houses surrounding it. But right downtown on the high street, there's a square, and we stayed.
They call it downtown. It was the happening area.
It was the happening area. It was the high street.
Is that the only street?
It was, yeah. It was basically you get off on Station Road and you walk about a mile down Station Road, it turns into High Street, and then you leave town. And that was basically it. But we stayed at the Priory Hotel is where we stayed, right in the square, which was really nice. Cute old hotel. Yeah, got in there right off the train, dropped off our bags, and then we're able to kind of do a wander around.
Oh, nice. And you said you went there about August. Apparently the town square you're talking about that time, it's full of flowers. Did you see all that?
Yes.
So many flowers. Yeah. We spoke about the flower budget that Beauly and surrounding villages must have. It was very noticeable. It was very impressive. Very pretty.
It did. Yeah. It said that was their main event, and it sounded like we got photos. Can you send that as well?
You know what? As much as we talked about the flowers, I don't think we took any photos
No.
of them.
I don't think we
Take
knew
a
it was
look.
special. We just thought maybe this was how it was done up all the time.
Yeah.
No, it was special, Cathy.
If I'd known, I would have snapped some of those photos.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about noticing it now and,
Yeah.
and talking about it. But yeah, it was a lot of flowers, really cute square. We ended up, and that's actually right on the square there is just beside our hotel is where we found the Priory, right?
Hence the Priory
So
Hotel.
that's
Yeah, hence the Priory Hotel. Yeah, there you
so
go.
is it on the same sort of site? You're just next to it, or your hotel is
Yeah,
just
just
next?
almost right next door. Yeah, sort of jaunt across sort of the car park, and then you could go in and see the ruins. And of course, it was a cemetery, hence the photos of the gravestones. But that's probably the first thing we did once we dropped our luggage was just explore those ruins. It was really picturesque, really pretty.
Yeah.
Was it a nice day? Did you have a good day?
It was good. You know what? The whole week we were there in Scotland, I remember the weather forecast was calling for rain basically the whole week, and it held off for us the whole time. I think we got rain at one point right at the end when we were in Dingwall, but we'll talk about Dingwall shortly.
Okay, we'll go.
But yeah, the only
Sounds
rain we got
ominous.
was in Dingwall. But no, yeah, first stop was the Priory, and we just kind of wandered through there. We didn't know anything about Beauly, so didn't know it was there. But just really nice building, old building, and then that's where we found the gravestones. The MacRae gravestones were actually in the Priory, in the building. They weren't just on the grounds; they were actually inside the building, which was really neat.
Oh, okay. So tell us, so what was it like walking through there then? Was it, I can see you in the picture, you're right, you're in the middle of tell us about what it was like. Was it quiet? Was it eerie?
No, it was pretty quiet. There was maybe half a dozen or so other tourists there, right? So it was pretty quiet. You could see the different sort of gravestones in the floor of the Priory, as you kind of see in different abbeys and things like that. They had just beside the door on the inside, I remember they had a really old. It was like a stone bowl attached to the wall where they put holy water in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where that's their old bowl that they would go in and sort of everyone on their way in or way out would dip their hands in that bowl. So interesting seeing those little details that have lasted, over time.
Yeah, you could tell that the building itself would have been, when it still had a full, roof cover, an impressive building. But as a result, the walls that remain, the structure that remained was quite impressive. And it really struck quite a scene walking through.
What was the story? They used the stones from the Priory to build a building in Inverness, was it? Do you remember that?
Yes. So they've repurposed part of the building so you can actually, so it has a connection to another area. I wish we had written that down.
Yeah, I think there's a tower. There was a building,
like a clock tower.
Building built in Inverness from the stones of the Priory, and the only thing remaining of that secondary building is the clock tower, I think.
Mm-hmm. I'll look into that. Did you happen to see the 800-year-old elm tree located in the Priory?
I'm sure we did.
We didn't notice it, but I'm sure we saw it.
Like, how big must that have been?
Yeah. Yeah, no, not that we noticed, unfortunately.
Oh, that was my other fun fact.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact. Now I'm sad we sort of missed it.
We'll check it out next time we go.
Are you planning on going? So you said you were going up that way to look for possible places to move to. Were you thinking about it, or is it not for you?
Beauly itself? No, not for us. I think we were looking for something a bit more in the Highlands, right? A bit more scenic, a bit more with the hills and the landscape, which I don't think Beauly necessarily had. I think we kind of got out of it a little bit. So no, Beauly did not make our short list.
Oh, but still beautiful nonetheless, is it? Is it still?
Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, gorgeous around, and getting up there is absolutely the trip up on the train is, in and of itself is a great destination. Just taking the train up there is fantastic.
I bet. And what about food? Because I know, Kevin, you're same as me, you're a vegan, aren't you? And I know I saw on your socials you commented that there was a nice vegan place there. What was that?
Yeah, so we're actually both vegan. So Kathy's the one that pulled me along on that trip.
Cathy, I was sure you were the other, of course, because you were the one about the restaurant down in London.
Yes,
I got that
yeah.
wrong. I got that the wrong way round, didn't I? I thought it was you, Kevin, that was the dabbler still.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we went to Unity Diner in London, right? Yeah, food in Beauly. We ended up, so we were only there for a short time, but after sort of the Priory and everything, we went for lunch at a little cafe in the square. It was called the Corner on the Square Cafe, and it was right, yeah, right on the square corner.
It was very busy. I mean, it's the type of small little cafe that you knew the food was good because of how like they were overflowing with everyone popping in to, you know, either take food to go, or I'm amazed we even got a table. So it was that sort of a spot, which was nice. And they had quite a few options for us too.
Yeah, with how quiet the town was, with how quiet Beauly was.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how many people were in there for lunch. It was the place to be, apparently.
And did you stay there? Did you have your tea there as well, or did you just head off the next day and didn't hang about?
We ate at the hotel, I believe, before we left.
Yeah.
I'm so nosy, am I not? Like, just give me the itinerary, the full itinerary.
No. But no, so what we actually did, Dawn, before, worth mentioning, because I think it's a big draw for Beauly, is before lunch, after we saw the Priory, there was a gift shop just down the way, and it was an award-winning gift shop, apparently, that they pride themselves on, and that was the old school Beauly gift shop, is what that was called. And yeah, we went in there, and it was one of those places where you go in, and my first impression was there was a lot of sort of trinkets and local products, you know, people knitting scarves or sweaters and stuff locally and putting it in. And it was neat. It wasn't anything really special at first glance when I was in. What I ended up doing was I left the gift shop and I stood outside for a second and I couldn't find Cathy. And I didn't know where Cathy went. And I didn't know how I lost her in this tiny little 2-room gift shop. And so it wasn't until I went back in that I realized that the back of the gift shop opens right up to a very large bookstore. Yeah, a bookstore and yeah, some pet supplies and some, you know, like children homeware and
section and yeah.
Yeah, so it really opened up, and there was so much more to it than first meets the eye. But I almost missed the whole thing.
You lost Cathy.
Yeah.
And you lost me in the back with the books.
Yeah.
That's what I would have been. Did you buy anything as a souvenir then?
I actually think I left without anything. And I recall actually carrying around quite a few different items. And I actually have photos of books. I took photos of books that I wanted. I determined that it was a really, really well curated selection. There were so many of the books that I was looking through that I would have actually wanted to take home. But I have a problem with indecision if there are too many things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
If it had been the type of gift shop that was 2 rooms, so there was one item I liked, I thought, oh, that was perfect. That's what I'll take from Beauly. But I wanted maybe a dozen different things and none of them were going to fit in my suitcase. So I just took photos of items that I wanted for later.
That's a good top tip there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably buy them and then just carry them about for the rest of the holiday.
Sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, where did you go next? You went to Dingwall.
Yes. Yeah. So part of the whole trip was, you know, seeing the area and seeing what was around. And we saw on a map that Dingwall was just a short train trip away. So we decided to head on up there. It was a coastal town. We didn't know much about it. We assumed coastal towns would be a bit lively, but we ended up catching the bus, and we took the bus up. It was maybe a 20-minute bus ride, not too bad. And got to see all of the areas along the way, which was really neat. But when we got to Dingwall, it was a bit, the high street was closed up, a bit sort of run down, unfortunately. It looks like it had some hard times.
Oh.
So we had to wander around Dingwall, and that's when it started raining on us. And we
Time
just
to go.
yeah, and we just did a walk around. We were maybe there for maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just kind of a big loop around, saw what we could see. and then ended up back at the bus station, at the bus stop, and caught the next bus home. But what was funny was, and I think it speaks to how small some of these communities are, is that the bus on the way back, we had the same bus driver that had dropped us off 2 hours earlier. But then not only that, I get bus drivers, they have routes and so you'll see them multiple times. But the one other person that was on the bus with us on the way to Dingwall was also catching the same bus back to Beauly. So we basically had the same driver and the same passenger with us on the way there and on the way back. Yeah.
Oh, that's really sad about Dingwall, because I have actually been there. I used to go there regularly, and obviously it's quite a small place, but yeah, that's a shame.
What did you used to go there for?
It was just with my previous partner. He used to just do lawnmowers, and he would go to the caravan sites and service their lawnmowers, and it was just. I remember it being a lovely, quiet but beautiful place. So that's sad to hear.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot was boarded up. What they did have there, though, which we saw a couple times, was a bakery. And you might know these, Don, that we had never seen them before, but they were Gow. Is that what it was? A Gow bakery?
Oh, God, I don't know that.
Gow. But the reason I bring it up is because we saw one in Avamore, and then we saw another one in Beauly, and then we saw the third one in Dingwall. So it seemed like it was a chain.
Oh.
Harry Gow Bakery is what it was.
God, I've never heard of him. It must be up that way. I don't know that one.
Yeah. It seemed pretty fun. It seemed like every town we stopped in there was a Harry Gow Bakery. So.
There we go. I wonder how popular that is. If he's in all the small places, he must get the tourists.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe that's
possibly.
what it is. Yeah.
So that was your visit to the Highlands. So what do you think, you'll go back? Have you got your eye on anywhere else or in the area, or see anything on the buses when you were travelling?
Well, we'll definitely go back. Which areas we'll choose next time, I'm not sure. I think that the next trip is going to require a car. We did this entire trip by train, and that really did dictate sort of the stops and the areas that we could explore. So when we have been previously, we've driven around,
Okay.
So we have done that before, but we chose this time to just go by train. So if we go back up again, I think we'll probably we'll map out some more smaller areas to take a look, go off the beaten track again, and pretend that we're not tourists, and then end up doing touristy things.
Yeah. Why do you want to pretend you're not tourists? It's lovely being a tourist.
It is. No, it is fun, but it's also it's hard to get an idea of what it's like to actually live in a place when you are a tourist surrounded by tourists.
Yeah. All right then. Well, that's it. Thanks very much for telling me all about your time in the Highlands. I look forward to hearing from you again if you go again.
Absolutely. It's been fun. Yeah, thanks for having us on, Dawn. It's been this is our first podcast that we've been on, so it was very very exciting and fun. So yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. We'll take better notes next time.
Yeah.
No. But can you tell everybody where they can find Just Thought Lounge and you?
Absolutely, yeah. So we are Just Thought Lounge on YouTube. So if you just kind of look us up there, all of our socials are kind of connected to that. We're also on Instagram, primarily just on there. So if you want to see some pictures of our travels around Kent and specifically our 2 cockapoos, then make sure you find us on Instagram, which is Just Thought Lounge there as well.
According to Wikipedia, Beauly is a town in the Highlands, located on the River Beauly, and is 12 miles or 19 kilometres, about a 20-minute drive, west of Inverness. According to Visit Beauly, Mary Queen of Scots visited Beauly in 1564 and stayed overnight, with many believing that the town got its name when she stated, pardon my French, "C'est un Beauly," which means "what a beautiful place" in French. Although others believe that it is more likely the town's name came from French monks who had a base in Hampshire in England called Beauly. Again, according to Visit Beauly, the town is centred around a square where you will find many award-winning independent shops and places to eat. And in the spring, visitors will come from far and wide to see the annual floral displays. Beauly is also a great base to start the North Coast 500 from, which is, according to northcoast500.com, Scotland's ultimate road trip, a route that covers 516 miles or 830 kilometres of the North Highlands, where you will pass some breathtaking scenery, beautiful sandy beaches, rugged mountains and quaint fishing villages, an experience that you will not forget. For more information and to see the route, visit northcoast500.com. We talked a lot about the Beauly Priory in this episode, which was founded in 1230. And as I mentioned, there's an 800-year-old elm tree located in the extensive priory. And so now onto the annual events that take place in the Beauly area. Well, there's actually quite a few. There's the Beauly Gala that takes place in July each year, and the Highland Cross finishing line is at Beauly. The Highland Cross is a 50-mile, being 20 miles on foot and 30 miles by bike, duathlon that traverses the Scottish Highlands from coast to coast, west to east, ending, like I say, in Beauly. But the event that really caught my eye was the Belladrum Tartan Heart Festival, which takes place every year, just a few miles from Beauly. In 2024, it will take place on the 25th to the 27th of July, and tickets are on sale now from tartanheartfestival.com. The Belladrum Tartan Heart Festival was first established in 2004 and has become one of the most unique and anticipated music festivals in Scotland, with a record-breaking 20,000 people attending in 2022. It brings a diverse range of music genre together, from indie to folk, as well as showcasing local and international talent. It has also won many awards, such as an award at the Scottish E-Awards in 2023 for Best Large Festival. It sounds like it would be a fantastic weekend. If you'd like to find out more or buy tickets, then visit tartanheartfestival.com. So that's about the end. If you've enjoyed the episode or would like to hear even more of Kevin's delightful voice, then you can find Just Thought Lounge on YouTube. A link to this, as well as everything mentioned in this episode, will be in the show notes, as well as on our website, cluranton.com/Scottish Digest. That's clurantonn.com/Scottish Digest. So we hope you join us next time for another wee slice of bonnie Scotland.
Scottish Digest is a production of Cluranton.